Hi, my name is Kate, and today I'm going to be making honey cornbread. These are the ingredients you need to make the honey cornbread. You'll need 1 cup of yellow cornmeal. You will need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder. You will need half a cup of sugar. You will need 1 teaspoon of salt. But in my case, I'm using herb mare. This is a different version, has salt and different kinds of herbs. You can use either one, it just has to contain salt. You will also need 1 cup of whole milk. In our case, I'm using almond fresh vanilla flavored milk. You just need to use it. It doesn't really matter, and it just is the same flavor. You also need 2 large eggs. They need to be sort of big, but they need to be large. You need 1 stick of butter, and it needs to be melted to the temperature of 10 seconds. Again, we are going to be using margarine, but it tastes like butter. Last but not least, you will need 1/4 of a cup of honey. This is the most important part. Now, let's begin cooking. First, you'll need to put the temperature on your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we can begin cooking. First, you will take it into a large bowl, and you will take the cornmeal as I said, it's going to be 1 cup of yellow cornmeal. So you do that into 1 cup. Next, you'll do 1 cup of all-purpose flour. You have to make sure that the flour is perfectly 1 cup, but not too much of the flour because then it's going to get sticky. Next, you will mix the cornmeal and the flour together for about 10 seconds. Then you will need 1 teaspoon of baking powder. After that, you will need sugar, and you will need the sugar, which in my case, I'm using brown sugar. For the sugar, you will need to be using half a cup of sugar. Oh, then I don't need this. You'll be using half a cup of sugar. I'm using brown sugar just because you can use brown sugar or you can use white sugar. It really does not matter. It just needs to be crunched up. Make sure that your sugar isn't hard. It needs to be soft and not crunched up in like blocks. They need to be like Next, you'll need to stir it. Then you will need 1 teaspoon of the salt. Where's the other salt? Oh, the other salt. The 1 teaspoon of salt. Like I said, I'm using the different set of salt. Next, you would take another bowl. In the other bowl, you would take the whole milk. Oop. Which is 1 cup of whole milk. Once you have everyone, you put it in the other bowl. This bowl is the wet ingredients so that you know the difference between the hard, the dry, and the wet. Milk. Then you take your 2 large eggs. Be careful that there's no shell caught in the egg. There should be no egg shell while you eat it. Like I said, they don't have to be too big, they just have to be egg. Then you take 1/2 a cup and you put it into the 1/2 a cup. It needs to be exactly 1/2 a cup. It also is going to be, melted, so it's going to end up to be 10 seconds, which I said already. It doesn't exactly matter if it's not exactly when you spread it out, it would end up to become 1/2 a cup of margarine or butter. Now you redo what you just did again, take the exact same spoon and scoop out the 1/2 into a different bowl. Make sure everything is out of this because this is equaling your 1/2 cup, and if you don't have the 1/2 cup, that means you don't have the amount of the margarine or butter that you need. Next, you go in, microwave it into the 10 seconds. It can either be 10 or it can be 5 seconds. But normally it's good to do 10 just in case it goes. While you wait, you just wait for it to just melt and yeah, because let's see. It should be very melted by now, or not. Actually, you can actually go up to 20 seconds. But if you want to do 20, then you did 10 at the start, you just redo and do another 10, because the 10 and 10 equals the 20. So you wait for it to go in. After you're done, it actually can be not. It can be fully melted, but it doesn't have to be actually melted like that. Make sure you get all of that butter or margarine, whatever, which one you're using, out of the bowl. Don't want to drip. Now, after you did the butter, you add the most important ingredient, the honey. Now you open the honey. Well, this is the 1/4 of the honey. Then you take the 1/4 cup and put your honey in. You have to make sure you use the exact amount of honey. If you do it this way, it does do better. If you use the whisk, you must use small portions. If you don't use the whisk, then it's fine. You don't have to. The honey can grow faster without the whisk. So if you need to, just pour all the honey in. If you need to, you can use the spoon to get all the honey out. It may stick. See, because honey's sticky. After you're done that, you will, after the honey, then you will mix together. You need to make sure it's properly whisked because before you move it into the dry. After you're done whisking it, you will move it into the dry ingredients. Make sure your whisk isn't dripping. Now, take it and carefully pour it in to the dry ingredients. If you want, you can try pouring in the dry ingredient. It might not cause as much mess, but at the same time, there's a possibility it could all get stuck. Then, together, the wet and dry, you will mix the wet and dry together. You have to make sure it's whisked well, stirred. If you're using a different sort of spinner to spin it all, then you might want to at least stir it for a good 4 or 5 minutes because it takes actually a while with the whisk anyway. If you want to use one of those whisker things when there's two, when you spin them around, you can do that too. But right now we're using it this way. You will tell it's ready because it will look like peanut butter. It will look like that and it will be sticky from the honey like the peanut butter. Now it will look like the creamy glossy of peanut butter. Let your whisk just sit and let all of it come out of the whisker so that you get everything off. Some people lick the whisker when it's done, but in this case you should not lick it because of the raw egg. Next, you will need a muffin tin to pour the ingredients in. Make sure you don't put too much in it. It will end up being very messy and it could end up wasting. If it looks like peanut butter, don't try eating it. You have to wait for it to cook. You will know it's cooked when it looks like a muffin. Next, you will take these and put them in the oven. When it's red, that shows that it's in a good temperature. Put it on the top railing of your oven, if you only have one, and let it sit for about 15 minutes. Now, to make sure that the honey cornbread is prepared and ready to be eaten, you have to make sure that is eaten so you don't taste something wet. You take your fork. It may be extremely hot because it had just been cooking. You have to take it down, and if it doesn't stick, that means it's ripe. And that right there, this means the cornbreads are ready to come out of the oven. Okay. You take the cornbread. Oh, yeah. Now you gotta let them cool off about 2 or 3 minutes. Don't let them cool off too quickly because then you're going to be eating cold honey cornbread. So that is how you make the honey cornbread.